broadcast, but as something else on your playlist and other stuff. There could be good stuff come out tonight too, or anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime is good time.
Yeah, sure. You guys keep talking. I'll definitely
that way
record.
It won't be a total loss for you.
Yep.
Sound good?
Yeah, sounds
I
good.
can hang around. I won't yell at anyone, I promise. I mean, I'm not as crazy tonight.
I wouldn't make promises you can't keep, Jimbo.
That grumpy old
come on.
man.
Really? Yeah. Anyone taking bets?
Nope.
Jimbo, the old grumpy old man.
I think a lot of us fall. A lot of us fall for the sky fallacy. That globers take us up into the sky to prove the shape of the Earth, and I think we should stop them right at that point, and call them out. That's the sky fallacy. Where is the curve on the Earth? Where is it visibly curved on Earth? And they can't get around that one. They have to go up into the sky, like the cloud, the shadows of the clouds up in the sky.
The sky fallacy. I like that one.
Well,
hey, Montreal. I have to say, I liked your one when you were talking about Soundly's. What did you call it? The skateboard. I've not talked to you since then. When you were on. I don't know whose you were on, but you talked about the skateboard over the. I was pissing myself laughing, mate. You had them and you lost them. It was like silence, birds, crickets chirping when you mentioned it. You know what I mean? They couldn't get it.
We lost.
Go on. Enlighten us all.
Paradox, Ali.
What was it? SE Montreal, say again.
The skateboard paradox.
The skateboard paradox. That Soundly skateboard paradox or something.
The Lake Pontchartrain or Soundly skateboard paradox. Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. That was brilliant. I liked that. They didn't like that at all, SE.
Expand on it because we don't know about it yet.
Oh,
well,
sure.
Yeah, you don't, Mark. We've been here before. We know all about it. But do it for Mark's
Yeah, we
sake.
pay attention, mate.
Hey, Travis.
We pay attention, Mark.
That's me told off. Okay.
Yeah, we don't pick and choose when we attend these meetings.
You wound me, comrade.
Yeah, less of that commie shit. No, explain SE what you talked about, because I thought it was a classic. I was just laughing. I was just laughing at the reaction of them.
Yeah, sure, no problem. I'll explain it again. If I cannot, I hope I don't break out in laughter. So, how they always laugh at us and they show us the Lake Pontchartrain Bridge, Soundly's picture, and they tell us, look, the curve, you bunch of idiots. Look, the curve is there. So I said, okay, you want to go like that? Okay, we'll play by your rules. So I asked them on Jose's show, I go, so you guys are saying it's an actual curve, right? I made them all agree. And they all said, yeah. I said, okay, so imagine now if I was to take a skateboard and put it right at the edge of the curve where the bridge is, and we had a helicopter hovering above, and I was to give you just a little gentle push on your skateboard, what would happen to you? And like Ali said, silence for a few seconds. And then they were coming up, with crazy stories. Well, it's the gravitational potential. I go, what? The gravitational potential? That will stop you from going down. You mean gravity is going to stop you from going down? That's the gist of it.
That was classic. And one of the ones that they've got a new one now is, I don't understand the question. Even though you said, so if I push you with a skateboard, they were like, there was one of them, they said, I don't understand the question. I was like, oh, geez, man, they're lost.
Oh, yeah, they said they don't understand the question, hey?
Yeah. It was, it's moments like that, SE and Mark, that just makes my day when these guys say the most stupidest things, man. You must admit, we're talented. We get these guys to say the most stupidest things.
Well, let me piggyback a little bit on what SE brought up. I had a conversation with a woman when I was taking shots out on the Chesapeake Bay, and we finally got around to the fact that I was trying to gather demonstrable evidence about Earth not being spherical and whatnot. And when she asked me what I meant, I said, well, you see where the water ends in the camera? You know, she looked through and she could see that the water stopped, but you could see land beyond, right? So I said, that's the curvature of the earth, so that on the other side of that water, the water is now curving away from that higher point. And the first thing that she said was, well, wouldn't a boat just slide down that other side? And I said, you know what? I said, I want you just to hold on to that thought. Just keep that in the back of your mind and just keep thinking that way. But that's exactly it. That's the simplest response. You know, that even she's not a second grader, but that's the what's the word I'm looking for? Common sense, right?
Yeah. You know that picture
exactly.
B-ball shows all the time in Hawaii?
Yeah.
When he claims it's a curve there, a hump, right? Well, you can take the skateboard paradox and make it a surfboard paradox. If you had a surfboard there, wouldn't you be able to surf down? Think about it. It sounds crazy, but hey, that's your world.
You wouldn't need any waves, SE.
Yeah. Just find the curve.
Well,
I'm just
see,
going out surfing, darling.
Yeah, and sorry, go ahead, Ali.
No, I was finished. I was just being a comment.
Well, that's what I've been saying from the start. I haven't a video on my channel from 2018, I think, or maybe early 2019. No. But anyway, and that was my question. My question was, at what point does water operate in a way that is not in accordance with the mechanics of water? That is, if water seeks its level, that is, it's going to flow downhill, right? Right? Wouldn't the moment the water hits the ground, wouldn't it just start to coagulate right there?
Yep.
It would have to start building up right at that point. There's no reason to say it doesn't. There's no reason to say that, well, it has to build up enough mass before the Earth starts to do that, or before gravity starts to do that. No, because the only time water builds up is when it is contained and you fill it up. And the moment that container is breached, if you think about a lake, right? If you've got a natural lake that begins to form because a river is flowing into it, well, that lake is going to fill up until the edges are breached by the volume of water, and then it's going to keep flowing down. That's the only time water ever builds up. But if the gravitational constant is what it is, there's no reason why water wouldn't just start to build up the moment it hits the ground, because it is attracted by gravity.
Yeah, well, that's well, it has to, doesn't it?
Well, but see, that's the whole thing. That's the exception
Otherwise,
to the rule.
it wouldn't be their model kind of thing, Travis. Right?
Sure, right.
You know?
That's the exception to the rule, or that is special pleading.
Exactly.
In this one case, it's not going to do what we think it's going to do because of the great scale negator.
Well, it's like, shout out Try Thinking, or what they do over in that channel there. But the point is, when they say, parallel lines don't converge, well, they do on the ball earth model, because they call it parallel lines.
On a sphere, yeah.
Right, so it does, parallel lines do converge, not in reality, but on their model. So you can't, and that's how they get out there, that hyperbolic geometry kind of thing. So when they make a statement parallel, lines do converge, and level does mean curved. Well, it does in their world, in their La La Land world. It does, because that's the geometry they're using. They're not using Euclidean. So when they're saying that parallel lines do converge, well, they do in their world. So they're not really lying as such, you know, if you know what I mean. They're just
Yeah. They say it straight out, Ali, and they give that exact example what you just said.
yeah, but they're right though.
They
You know what I
are,
mean? Even though
because on the
parallel
ball
lines
you
don't.
can make them. Yeah,
Yeah, in reality, parallel lines do
they
not
cannot.
converge.
Well, but that's only north and south, but those aren't parallel lines.
No,
So
yeah.
so if you're going east to west, if you're doing latitude lines, the latitude lines are just cutting sections out of a sphere from top to bottom. But the longitude lines they have an axis. So those are not parallel.
No, but in their world, though, in their hyperbolic geometry that they use, they are parallel. They would class them as parallel.
Yeah, they make
Well,
them
Even though they're
converge
not.
at the poles.
You get understand? Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, they cross over because that great circle that you make going up to the pole, that line next to it will be parallel to it. They actually cross over because it continues round. So they've actually got, you know what I mean, the beliefs that, as I say, they're not lying when they say it does, but they're referring to their model. They're not referring to Euclidean geometry, the reality of things. So
right.
they're referring to
Yeah,
Fairyland.
Yeah, and that goes back to your shout out to Bev and all the work that he's doing with level and horizontal, because there is a redefining of terms. So if you think of our two models or our two worlds as parallel universes, parallel alternate universes, in our world, our definitions of level and horizontal and parallel and perpendicular are one idea, and in their world they're completely redefined. It's almost living in a world of color and then going and living in a world of monochrome.
Yeah,
completely different.
See, that's the problem. That's the problem we have with them, is that they're satisfied with their explanation of their own cosmology, and there's nothing we can say that makes them dissatisfied with it.
Yeah.
I think they're afraid more than anything else, ridicule. Like they don't want to voice their idea because they're afraid they're going to be laughed at. Whereas us, we don't care. We'll say anything.
Well, let me go back.
Well, they know they'll get castigated from their little. They know they'll get flung out of their little crew kind of thing. You know what I mean? And that shows how shallow and how low their self-esteem is, that they can't even. You know, and to be quite honest, I wouldn't want them. I wouldn't want any of these characters. There's not one person that I've met on that side that I would say, yeah, it'd be cool to have him. And I'm sorry, SE, not even Jose.
What about Stingray?
Stingray.
Stingray, are you joking? That guy's a snake. Stingray's a snake.
The only one I would ever come close to saying anything like that positively would be Toady UK. Damn it,
Travis.
I've had nothing but positive interactions with Toady.
He's
I
talked
know
shit about you, mate.
Well,
Listen,
but
Travis,
that's all hearsay. I hear what I've been told, but I've never.
Well, I've heard it. I've heard them
right.
talking about you, so you can take my word for it or not. I don't care. I've got nothing to gain.
What about
lying to you? He's a piece of.
He's two-faced. He's two-faced.
Sorry.
What about Crow
Yeah,
XE?
exactly, two-faced.
Crow XE's a good guy.
No. I heard from a credible source that I would consider someone my friend who said the same thing. I had a conversation with Crow XE on my channel. He jumped on over to Gems and just started bad mouthing me.
Yeah, I know he did. He's another one. That Crow XE, I called him out as well. I called him out. He always ran across to Jose's and bitched about yous lot over in fucking Ranty's, man. And so
little
that told you as
bitches.
well. These guys, they have to talk bad about us. They can't. You know, it's they're snake. Well,
so anybody that talks about the person and not the argument, right? They can't.
Yeah.
Right, that's a telltale sign.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, George Nathan here would be nice to have on our side, wouldn't he?
Oh, you joking?
What?
Mate. Don't fucking say that,
What?
mate.
Hey,
That was horrible. That
Hey,
you
Mark,
did.
Make sure you watch the show with
Kick this guy out of here.
Get him out.
on Jose's. What was
Mark's
it,
went
man?
to the dark side.
Shit, it'll come to me.
Well, what's the logic,
Oh,
Mark?
Aaron
Explain your
Ra
logic.
and Nathan. Make sure you don't miss that one, Mark.
Okay.
If you're speaking
yeah.
about George, you're gonna love it.
Yeah, fight of the flat Earth as well. Who's the Welsh
He's
guy?
a clown. He is a clown.
Who's
period.
the Welsh guy that we don't like?
Squeaky. Blinder or something. Creaky. Blinder.
The creaky blinder. He's the first against the wall. Come the revolution. Oh God, he hateful git.
Hey, speaking of George, I wanted to mention to you guys that he evidently I was running my mouth one night, and said that I could beat him or any of the Globers in a math competition.
I was in the chat. I saw that. What's up with that?
He's calling you out for a math.
Four on
A
one,
spelling bee. A spelling bee.
So I don't exactly, recall the specifics of that situation, but he said if he'll take on me and 4 or 5 other people. So if you guys know any like PhD student math people or anybody like that, I'm thinking about putting a math team together.
As long as we have Sleeping Warrior on our side, we're okay, aren't we?
I would only do it if I could just give stupid answers all the time and treat them with the disrespect that they deserve. So, but
yeah,
yeah, say stuff like, "What do you mean
math
delta
competition?
angle? Delta what?
Oh, that
Delta
doesn't
X?
get-
Who are you?"
maybe I'll get right to hand and he can just say, "Yeah, but what's a number?" That work,
Yeah.
Chris? You think that'll fly?
Oh, well, you give that guy
Well,
grief handle with him.
I had
with
this.
non-existent atoms. I don't
Actually
go with
don't
that,
think
to be
there's any more. I don't think there's any more than one number, and there's only one. You can only have a single object, and then you can have individual single objects.
All right. Yeah. See,
That's it. He's on your
perfect.
team, Brandon.
Yep. That's it.
I'm
Do
having
you, do you get what I'm saying? Like, there's no 2. You can't show me 2. You'll show me individual.
Yeah, even though they're the same, they're still individual. So it's
Yeah.
Well,
No,
Well, an apple and an orange isn't 2 pieces of fruit. It's an apple and an orange. You can't
Oh.
combine them into 2.
Well, I might just concede. I may just say, you know what, George, I was just talking shit. But if I can get some real like fucking math professors or PhD math students and bring them to the party, then I'll take them up on the offer. But if it's just me, yeah, he's probably going to kick my ass. I don't know what the challenge is going to involve, but doing live math is not going to work for me.
I would just take them on for the laugh. You should just go for it. Take them on for the laugh, and then you can say, right, what have you achieved now? You've beaten somebody that knows fuck all about maths, right? Now what? Now what? Right, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's not that I don't know anything about math, but
I wouldn't give him the freaking. He'll goat on it till ever.
Yeah.
No, do a mock job. Like put pencil protection in your pocket with a bunch of pencils and pens, and put some like glasses on, and dress all nerdy, and go in there and and he asks you a question, just give some stupid answer, and okay, you won that one.
Or start training, Brandon.
Start writing stuff down, like a formula, and write something stupid, like "I love Lucy," or
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Take a piss out of it.
Well, here's math for you. Avocado's number plus pressure equals G for guacamole.
Make sure you bring your electric shaver. And just do all kind of quirky stuff. Just have fun with it,
Oh, it's a great idea.
Maybe
yeah.
drink a little, which I probably didn't have to tell you to drink a little while you're doing that, but that's probably how you got into this mess, right?
I'm pretty sure it has something to do with that. Yeah.
As far as math discussions go, they'll come out with 0 as a number. In any competent math book, it starts off by really attacking you and trying to emphasize over and over. And there's even in math definitions, NaN. For 0, it's not a number. And if you can't get beyond that with these stupid people, you're into their fantasy land where they can assign 0 a value. Even on a so-called number line, the O that you see is not a 0. It is O for origin, the starting point. So, you know, unless you
He
really
is
know
right about that.
math and your terminology, you're screwed, and they're screwed because they're in fantasy land. You want to keep the practical descriptive language of, you know, constant proportions and ratios, like for science, you know, you can't get more watts out of a certain amount of voltage and resistance than is possible. It's limited. It's always proportioned and ratioed. And that's all math does, is gives us proportion and ratio. You can't really add, like he says, 2 apples. You have 2 individual units, but there's no such thing as adding 2 apples together. You try pounding them together, you get like skin and apple juice and sauce. You know, even in chemistry where you do addition reactions and carbon joins to carbon, etc., it's only temporary. You break it down with heat and oxygen, most organics will combust. I mean, it's not really addition, it's temporary, whatever it is. And you don't, like apples, you don't stomp 2 carbons together. So it's not really addition either at a chemistry level either. It's tallying, certainly it's tallying, but it's not addition. And then you go into what is multiplication. It's just repeat addition. What is division? It's repeat subtraction. If you tilt the plus sign on its side, you get the multiplication sign, right? If you put a numerator and a denominator over the minus sign, you have division. And division is repeat subtraction, and multiplication is repeat addition. They're both the same damn thing. One is more complex and long form. And the fact is, the easiest thing to do is take any number, large or small, convert it to a log, and add it to another number or subtract it from another number to easily divide and multiply. And just convert the simple addition or simple subtraction back to its inverted log value. You'll have your answer. So a complex question like 1,000 times 1,000 becomes 3 plus 3 equals 6, 1 with 6 zeros. That's simple.
All right.
Jim, you're the
Long
first person I've
mathematics
heard.
is turned
Sign him
into
up,
simple
Brandon.
addition.
Sign him
Hey,
up.
hey, can I
quick.
say one thing real quick? Real quick, let me say one thing. I heard, and I don't know if this is true, but they say that the angles, like the numbers, are based on how many angles in them. Like a 1, it's only 1 angle. Then you make a 2, picture like a Z.
Absolutely.
Okay, where the 2 things
I
meet.
posted
3.
the angled numbers in the back chat a few days ago. I might be able to still find it and repost it. But basically, the 1 has 1 angle, the 2 has 2 angles, all the way up to 9. The 0 has no angles. But I'll look, see if it's still posted and back. I don't know.
Didn't the Arabs come up with the 0? If I'm not mistaken. In the 12th century or something like that.
That's what I
was
always
right
heard.
about the origin earlier.
Is it a
0
placeholder?
beginning, me and the origin.
Because like the Greeks, the Romans, they didn't have the number 0, right?
Yeah, they didn't like it, did they? The Greeks never liked the idea of the concept of 0.
But you guys were talking about angles. Look at the Roman numerals. They're all angles, no?
Well, that's true enough. That's strange, all these symbols anyway, how they ended up turning into scribbly lines. If you know what I mean.
Oh, it's
Like
all just
2 and
it's all
I
just
just
shorthand.
posted it in the general chat there. The numbers, you know, drawn as stick form with each one its angle for its numerical value. 1 has 1 angle. 2 is drawn, you know, like 2 triangles, but with 2 angles. The 3 has 3 angles the way it's drawn. It's about angles. Even
Yeah, the 8 is
cuneiform
freaky, yeah? 2
was
boxes.
about angles.
Yeah.
Hey, have any of you guys watched this Mr. Sensible video I guess he.
I can't stand him. I cannot stand. It's just like
I can't watch him more than 3 seconds. This guy, Travis.
Yeah, it's just like Bob the What. I mean, I just want to kick puppies whenever I hear that guy talk.
Well, evidently you made a video of that night we were making fun of his balloon experiment, and he's calling it, and we get his followers are brigading us like, oh, now that he's proved the globe, like this one balloon video is what did it. That's what proved the globe.
He invited me on his show.
That's like sounding rich proving the
Oh
globe.
God, they're easily pleased, man, aren't they? They're easily pleased when it comes to proving, confirming their bias kind of thing, man,
Yeah, I haven't been able to bring myself to watch the video. It's like 20 minutes long, evidently.
Oh geez, man, that guy, Mr. Sensible, whatever he's called, man, he's got a face you could never tire a punching,
Could have said it better, bro.
Sorry, guys, I'm only joking. I'm not a violent person, but it's an old saying. So, but
right,
I could see him on the punching bag there and fight the flat Earth. It's not like we're punching the actual person.
You tell him we need you on the front lines.
Oh dear. So how you liking Brandon? How are you liking this doing these hangouts now? Then are you enjoying it? Are you finding it a good experience? Or
yeah, no, it's fun. It's not like every day. I'm totally thrilled to hop on the computer for 3 hours, but all in all, it's definitely a positive experience. There is work involved, that's for sure.
Well, my hat off to you, because I used to do quite a bit of live streaming, and everybody will know this. Anybody that's done live streams, especially if you're doing them consistently, or when I say sometimes you just can't be bothered doing it. And I have to say, Brandon, fair play. You're doing a great job, and it's very entertaining. Yeah, and you've got a nice way of moderating as well. So it's all good. I'm enjoying it anyway. So.
Oh, good. Thanks, Sally.
You'll be sporting your flat Earth leather jacket pretty soon on a hog somewhere.
What?
You're gonna get his colors soon.
Yeah, I'm getting fitted this Saturday, actually, Jimbo.
Yeah, there's an official ceremony slated there.
Oh shit!
No, you're definitely doing a good job, Brandon. Definitely, bro.
Well, you guys really, make the show. You guys have showed up for me, which is awesome. So, hats off to you guys, really.
And tried to remain kind of civilized, because usually I lose it, and I kind of, like I say, if I was muted all the time, and not just that, like when Arwen had his, power at Nathan's, I'd be muted or just kicked off the damn panels, kicked out of the after show.
Yeah, I can see that.
Nonsense like that. You can't, Sometimes I might rant, but I can stay quiet for 3 hours of the rest of the show, There's only a few things like ether and trying to push logic as a word, and 2 and 2 equals 4. It's logical. So that's everything I say that follows is right because it follows logic. That's not how experimental science, observation, other stuff work. We can't go off into the wah-wah of things, as Lemon says, And for me, ether is in the wah-wah, a lot of stuff. Like I say, we had this big argument about someone dropping a rock and then say, let's ignore the fact that I picked it up and dropped it. Let's just assume that there's something pulling it down. And let's ascribe a force and study all that till the cows come home. Forget the fact that I picked it up, whether it's a mic.
Nah, you're grossly misrepresenting. So what I said was, hold on. You just said. So what I said was, when I let go of the rock, okay, I picked it up. I'll agree. Now I let go of it. Now, am I the mechanical process which is making that rock fall to the ground? Am I physically manipulating the rock at the point that it's falling to make it move down?
If I'm making love to to a lady. No, I'm
No,
kidding.
okay, you're just going off topic. Okay.
Well,
you don't
I'll
wanna-
answer no. You've
But
got absolutely nothing at all to do with it. I was behind you with that,
we make love.
by the way, and I never bought into that. You know, when you lift, because people were saying, oh, they were saying, how does the energy? People are still stuck in the fact that gravity is a force, and there's absolutely no proof there's a fucking force involved in this.
Yeah, but I didn't
But
say a
people keep
force.
insisting.
I didn't say a
And
force. Hold on.
there was a meme going about. There was a meme going about by some flat earthers or people. Well, when I pick it up, I put the energy. Just what you said. I put the energy into it. Don't talk shite. That's
You
not the
can't put
reason
energy.
things.
You can't put energy
No, I
into
know.
something. Okay.
Yeah, I know, and that was what was
So,
pissing
but
me off
okay,
about
so
that.
then, so you're saying, oh, I put energy into it, so it falls. That's what I'm saying, and what nobody hears, or they just don't want to address it because it hurts their fundamental belief system, is that when you let go of a rock, you are not, you are not, you are no longer influencing that rock. Okay, there is something else, right? Now that rock is fall. All you've done is start the process that makes that rock go to the ground. Now there is a mechanical process that happens. We just can't see it, but it's not you.
No, I don't go with that. I think it's a property of the object in relationship to the medium it falls, and I don't go with the density and buoyancy thing. It's just a thing. There's no force. It's
I
just
never said force. There has.
no,
All
no.
I'm
I'm not
saying
arguing
is
with you.
there's
Right
something.
hand.
There's
What,
something.
what
Right
if you
hand.
pick up the rock and
I'm
put it on a table?
no. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I don't believe it's a force. I think people are getting stuck in the fact it's because a force is needed to push objects forwards, backwards, up. Right? They think, oh, there must be a force pulling down or pushing it down or whatever,
No,
and I just believe it's a
force is a
natural.
force
Sorry.
is a conceptual word for physical contact, right? So you have something in motion,
Exactly.
and then when it contacts something else, that's when you get quote unquote a force. So you can't have motion without an object that has the motion to transfer it to another object. So that is the required. They say a force, but that's wrong. This is really wrong. So one of the things that's fundamental, because again, this goes against their system, is that in order to move something, it must be contacted by something else that is moving.
Yeah. No.
Yes. So and that's why. So like, okay. So now, when that happens, you have this rock, right? So now they fundamentally change air, right? They make a not fun. Well, they have their own model, bouncing particles. But now, if air was a fluid, okay, just hang with it. If air was a fluid, right, and there was some kind of, I'm not saying it's fluid pressure or whatever, but just there's some kind of mechanism like fluid pressure, right? Maybe it's not fluid, but a mechanism like that makes the rock fall, right? Just like how it'll fall slower in water, but some things float in water. Same kind of concept.
Yeah, I was laughing more at the not what you're proposing there, but the thing you were saying about the. I wasn't laughing at what you're saying, what you were actually the point you were making. It was something you said in there. I don't go for
Yeah.
bouncing. The bouncing
Oh
ball
yeah. Well,
atoms.
because
I
yeah,
don't buy that.
yeah.
I
So
don't
if
buy
you
that.
don't, again, like, so if you don't buy that, then you can say that there's a connection, a constant connection between the Earth and the rock, right? So there's always going to be the medium in between the rock and the
Yeah.
Earth. So
Yeah.
I think that gets manipulated in a way so that the rock goes back down.
Ask someone what would happen if there was no gravity. Would things just float then? So for example,
I don't believe
picked
in
that
gravity,
rock up,
so
right? Wait a
no,
minute. If I picked that rock up, so I used to say to them, like, just think of the absurd. I take to the absurdity. So if I picked that rock up, there was no gravity. Say there was no gravity. If I picked that rock up and then I let it go, would it just stay where it was then? You know what I mean? Just to troll them. Not being serious or anything like that, but it's how ridiculous it sounds that they say it's
well, yeah, well, they'll say that as long because if you get far enough away from Earth, right? Isn't
well,
that
it
what
can't
happens?
float away. You know, it's not going to float away or anything like that. It has to, according to their laws of physics, if there was no gravity, it would just stay where it was because there'd be no force acting upon it. So it would just have to hover above the ground. It wouldn't fly away, you know, if the Earth wasn't spinning or whatever. If they called it spinning, it wouldn't do anything. It would just, you would pick it up and let go of it, and it would just be there, which is fucking ridiculous.
Well, they've literally crafted their world, right? Like they made their own physics where things that'll never happen in the real world happen in their thing.
Yeah, well, it's just that they actually build a thing called a virtual laboratory. When they do these experiments, what they do, say for example, if they wanted to work out the effect that a force would have on Mars, for example, so they would in their little imaginary or virtual laboratory, they would have an area that had no forces, and then they would introduce Mars and say, right, if there was no forces acting on Mars, how would it act? And then we say, all right, let's introduce this force to it, and then it would act. So they're basically just making up, imaginations in their head, and then they're fitting mathematics to it, kind of thing. It's quite strange, how they think, or how they build up these experiments. And the funny thing is, with these, when they say about electrons and stuff like that, even though they're not real, they can kind of predict how things are going to act, kind of thing.
Hey, I don't know if you guys saw the message, but looks like the internet speeds are back up. I'm back up to about 30 megs upload speed, so it's held steady for about 10 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and try to restart the show at 6:30, so just short of 10 minutes from now.
It'd be really funny if we just fucked off them, Brandon, eh?
That would be pretty funny, yeah.
And let's go over and welcome to the Brandon Toy Show, and let's go over to Discord. There's nobody there.
It's happened once or twice where there's, no one's felt like talking. Yeah, there's only been one or two people. Randy said it happened to him sometimes too. And he's like, oh, what do I talk about?
Well, we're all good talkers, man. So we tend to, when put under pressure, I suppose we can come up with loads of stuff. We've got loads of topics that we've been involved with before, flat earth or whatever. Or we've got, it's amazing what you can do when you're put under the cosh like that. You've got to talk.
Oh yeah, we have no shortage of people who love to talk. I'm not worried about that, but
we could talk High School Musicals.
What do you know about High School Musicals, Jimbo?
Yeah, I'm getting worried now. He was in them.
Hey, I want to live forever.
He played Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz.
That wasn't in high school. He's still doing that, isn't he?
No, I think we're all living in the land of Oz here, man. They've created the land of Oz, and they're trying to convince us we're here.
Click your heels a few times, and you're not in Kansas anymore, apparently. Well,
Yeah,
look, here's the funny thing. Now, when you go to a restaurant and you want to sit down, they want your name, phone number, etc. Way back when the American government wanted names for conscription in the future, they worked with Dickie D Ice Cream to give away free ice cream to all the little kiddies. And all they needed was their information. And later they compiled their list for, Vietnam War recruitment and other stuff from a free ice cream.
Really?
Offered to. Yes.
Holy cow, man.
Fucking assholes.
At all these franchises to sit down and have a burger, they're asking us for our information.
Oh shit! I don't even worry about it anymore. My information's out there so many freaking places. It's like,
yeah, me too.
Who wants it for what? That's the important thing. And if you don't have to pay for it because you can give an order and get it, all fresh and updated, you're doing okay.
Yeah.
Because usually, people's information, you have DVDs and stuff full of them, but you're paying 10 cents an address and email. And people do it. Like, I'm in the printing industry. I can get thousands of people's information and where they live, know if they're in the Golden Mile, if they're in the ghetto. So I know where to go look for money for business. Sometimes whether, someone's from a certain area, you might not even trust where a person's from. Ghetto part of town, whatever, doing business. They might just be scamming in the graphics, get some printing done for you, and just, you know, be like a ghost in the fucking night. But anyway, you know, it's the way they got the names for conscription. It's deviant, it's evil. And they did it then. Why wouldn't they do it now? Heck, they put spray cannons on buildings and spray blacks in Louisiana with radioactive material, with diseases, to see what would happen. They took the Kijiji airmen, black fighter pilots, and gave them all gonorrhea.
Yeah, I heard about that one.
Go risk your life, go fight, but be sure we gave you a pretty dreaded, horrible disease to come back and live out your existence and die with for serving your country.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Some of the stuff that they've done to us, or some of the stuff that these people have done to human beings, man,
When
It's,
you're an American vet and you sign to do deal with the Veterans Affairs and their hospitals, if you read the forms, if you can get your hands on one, it allows for experimentation, including gases and other stuff.
holy.
Meaning they can back a truck up and pump out stuff from the diesel fumes right into the hospital. Can't
Oh,
share-
right, where was it? I heard about that one. What was that about?
I don't know. What can you put in diesel fuel? Little
No, I'm
volatile.
saying I heard. No, I'm saying I heard about that. What you're talking about there for some reason. What you just said there about it. It rings a bell. The exhaust fumes into a hot. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm false memory. It just sounded familiar. The story you told you.
Well, sometimes broken AC systems, if the conditions are right, they can produce almost like war gases and nerve gases. They had that at one hotel, I guess, in Philadelphia, where a bunch of guests in a bunch of different rooms died of some type of gas poisoning. They thought it was bacterial, you know, this and that, but in the end, it was some type of gas poisoning from a faulty system.
We had a. I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember. We had a Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher, during her time. They released a virus. Just actually, it's quite funny. Well, not funny, but just down at the Oval on the other side of the Thames, they released a virus, and they monitored all the, like doctors and the hospitals and stuff like that. During the 80s, they done this. Just
Well,
to see what.
Dr. Gucci's wife is the head of ethics for public testing on